So I, too, want to begin by thanking the museum for hosting this and other panels on things that are really important to public space in our city. And also just want to compliment Kate on pulling this together and giving it the clever title of Minds in the Gutter, which I hope will persist with SWIM's future efforts. So we're here to talk about stormwater, and specifically, as Minds in the Gutter frames it, what happens to stormwater that goes onto our streets, and why should we care about that? So if you've ever walked across a big puddle at a corner or been splashed by a taxi as you walk on the sidewalk, you have experienced our stormwater problem in this city. And it manifests at a very small kind of local way in clogged drains, and in a very, very large way systemically with our terrible CSO event problem. So what that means when you hear those initial CSO event is, as Kate said, CSO stands for Combined Sewer Overflow. We have in New York City what's called, and I'll just, for those of you who are not part of the Stormwater Club, I'll just briefly describe a combined sewer system, which means that stormwater that runs off our streets, and in terms of the type of waters that are available that go into our system, is sort of relatively clean. And then we have black water, which is the water that comes from buildings after it's been used in the various ways that water gets used in buildings. So those two types of water go into the combined sewer system, and when there's too much rain going into the system, we haven't the capacity to treat all of that water. And so it overflows into our harbor and rivers basically untreated. Not basically untreated, untreated. So that happens on the order of once a week, an average of once a week. So one can imagine all of the bacterial and other problems that causes in the harbor to wildlife, to all sorts of things. It's just not something that you want to have happen. So one of the reasons to think about using unconventional stormwater treatments is to take some of the water, stormwater, which really is not nearly as dirty as the water that comes from building systems, and to keep it out of the combined sewer system. And that was a primary goal of the Minds in the Gutter competition. Another reason to take water out of the system is cost. It costs money to treat water, and if you have gray water that really doesn't require the same level of purification, the city can save money by not treating it in the same way. And finally, I think everyone here is aware that water is an ever scarcer resource, and the fact that we take water that's not that's usable for sort of many things and just run it into the sewer system just doesn't make any sense at this point in time. So just two little factoids about what kind of benefits using stormwater could provide. When the North Brooklyn Compost Project started, which is Kate's group, started thinking about whether they could take a broken curb and turn it into a kind of stormwater treatment area. They measured from 0.2 acres, which is a really small area, you can imagine, of impervious roadbed, meaning that there's no water actually infiltrating that surface. From that surface, 1-inch storm, which is something that happens very frequently, produces 5,000 gallons of water, which is basically enough water to fill one of those above ground pools that you used to have in your backyard, or at least from my friends used to have in our backyards. So that's a lot of water just from 0.2 acres. And Paul Mankiewicz at the Gaia Institute has estimated that every 33 gallons of water captured by natural landscapes and evaporated through plants each day provides a ton of air conditioning. So those are just two small facts about what would happen if we used our stormwater in a more effective way. So in the end, how you deal with stormwater, how you reuse it, how you collect it, how you treat it, those things are kind of known, and they're not actually, they're kind of ancient. Really, the Romans knew about that. They're ancient landscape design strategies, and everyone on the panel here is an expert in those things. And really, just to kind of define what we're talking about here, we're talking about how you convey the water, how you allow it to infiltrate, whether your surfaces are porous or not, and that has to do with paving, how you filter the water once you've collected it. You can use plants, you can use soil, there's lots of ways to do it. How you retain or detain the water to slow it down from going into the combined sewer system, then how you discharge it and how you treat it if it needs treating. Those are design issues, and they were addressed in very creative ways by the schemes that you see on the boards in the room next to here. And if you haven't had a chance to look at them, you can find them online on Urban Omnibus site, urbanomnibus.net has all of them, or you can look at the boards in the room next to this room. So, and we're going to talk about that this evening, but the thing that really in the end becomes a barrier, the real barrier to upgrading the way we manage stormwater in the city is a political one. We have many city agencies, they all work independently. They have their kind of little area of hegemony that was defined probably 50 or 100 years ago, and they are behind the ways that state-of-the-art practitioners like everyone at this table is thinking about managing stormwater today. So the first question that I'm going to throw out to our panel, and I guess I'll just let whoever wants to answer this question answer it, whoever can jump in first can answer it, is I know that all of you have dealt with that issue, and I'd like to know whether, I guess first, whether you agree that that's the primary barrier, and thoughts you have on how to overcome that barrier.